Hey guys, Mike here. So this video today is a re-review. Basically, 6 months ago to the day, I did a cult classic review of Withnail I, a movie which I'd never seen before and I hadn't heard of before. And I gave my review on it. It wasn't very long, but they were my thoughts on the movie. And the review wasn't really watched by that many people, so it kind of just slipped under my radar. Though as time went on, people started to dislike the video a lot more, and I just thought, well, maybe people aren't just agreeing with what I'm saying, or they think it's a bad video. Nonetheless, I just didn't really pay much attention to it. Although today, when I woke up this morning, I saw that I had a massive disliking on this video. Hundreds of views and tons of negative comments. Now obviously it's YouTube, there's going to be some comments that are really quite unsavory and don't really hit the nail on the head as to why they're actually disliking the video. Though a handful of comments I got were actually quite insightful, but then one person decided to message me and tell me why I was wrong about this film, and because I really wanted to find out what all the fuss was about, why I was so wrong, I took him up on it. I was like, okay, tell me why I'm wrong about this film. Then this person went into great detail about how much they love this film, how it was a great reflection on character study, how it really invokes a lot of emotion and comedy, and just basically why they love this movie so much. And honestly, I thought it was just such a well put together and well conducted argument that I was just like, you know what, I'm going to give this movie another watch. And also because a lot of people really disagreed with what I had to say. And also another main reason, I rewatched the review today, and basically it's just not a good review. It's about 2.5 minutes long, and basically all I say in it is, I don't like the movie, I don't think it's a cult classic, I didn't laugh once, why does anyone love this film? And honestly, that's not a good review. That's not very fair to a movie that so many people love and have a great passion for. So I decided that I will rewatch the film, and I've just now finished watching the movie. I literally just finished it and now I'm talking to you about it. So I'm going to give you my new impressions about Withnail I. So what do I think about Withnail I now? Well, I gotta say, I was really quite wrong about a lot of the things, if not all the things I said about Withnail I. First of all, Richard E. Grant as Withnail and Paul McGann as Marwood, or and I. These two characters were brilliant, really entertaining. Withnail really hides behind this facade of theatricality. Deep down, he's really depressed, he's unhappy with his life, everyone annoys him, and he just doesn't know how to actually process this information. So he puts across his disdain through theatre. You know, speaking really formally and in long monologues. And usually the person who's on the receiving end of this is his good friend, Marwood. He's so ridiculously paranoid and anxious all the time, and he is the only character who has narration. So on quite a few occasions, we're really getting inside this character's headspace and just seeing how anxious he is all the time. Literally sitting in a cafe, he reads the paper, and it just sets off an anxiety attack in him. He sees the headlines and he sees the whole world is changing around him, and he just doesn't know how to cope with it. So with a new decade on the horizon, they decide that they're going to get out of their headspaces and go for a holiday in the countryside. Neither of them really wants to do it, neither of them think it's a particularly great idea, but they feel like they have to do it anyway. So the two of them talk to Withnail's uncle Monty, who, I gotta say, Richard Griffith was really funny in this. The first time watching Withnail I just really couldn't see what this character was bringing to the table. But honestly, every single scene this guy is in is just hilarious. It's just the way the guy conducts himself, very formally, rolling of the R's. And as well, when he bursts out into monologues as well, it's just insanely entertaining. And the dynamic that he has with the two guys, especially Marwood, was hilarious. Though, it is kind of that double standard kind of thing. If this situation was happening, say, with a larger man kind of encroaching upon a younger woman, then this would be a completely different thing. But like I say, it's that kind of double standard thing that we have, where we just kind of see the situation as funny. And honestly, this situation is quite funny. On the surface level, it seems like it's kind of a misunderstanding, but then when we really kind of delve deep into Monty's character, it's more about a release for him. Because he's basically felt oppressed his whole life, that he can't really express who he really is, he decides that he's going to kind of get it out of Marwood because he thinks he's gay as well. Of course he's attracted to him as well, but he also sees it as a way as kind of redemption for him. That basically can tell someone else to not be oppressed their whole life and just kind of be who they are. And sadly, Marwood just doesn't realise that until the very end. And I would say that this film has a very good blend of comedy and drama. If it leaned too much into the drama, this would have been quite a depressing story. And if it leaned too much into the comedy, it was going to be kind of making too light of their general situation. And it's towards the end as well when Marwood gets the role of a lifetime and decides to move away to pursue his career in acting. It's when Withnail realises that he really does need his friend, because without him to vent to, he's really got no one else. And throughout the whole film, he's really kind of snarky to him, always snapping at him, always calling him every name under the sun. But it's when he realises that he might actually leave that he actually starts to be nicer to him, in a kind of vain attempt to keep him around, which allows you to see another side of the character which you haven't seen for the most part of the film. And as well, something that kept going through my mind throughout the whole film, I thought that Withnail I would have translated brilliantly to stage. Honestly, I think I would have loved this film a lot more if it was a stage play, because the way the characters conduct themselves, the way they speak, the way they move, it all translates very well to stage. Big gestures, proper pronunciation, and I feel like if they had an audience in which to work off of, then their comedy would have been a lot funnier as well, because they could have played it up or toned it down depending on the mood of the audience. But alas, it is a film, so they can't really moderate how the audience are feeling about it, because, you know, that's pretty much how movies work. And another thing I found quite funny was when I was reading through the comments of my first Withnail I review, I saw a lot of comments which seemed quite threatening, and I was thinking, why are these people saying these things to me? And then when I was rewatching the film, I realised they were quoting the movie, and it actually made the scenes quite a lot funnier as well, because these particular quotes stuck in my head, and when I was hearing them again, it made them all more hilarious. So, after rewatching this film, would I consider it a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? Honestly, rewatching this film has made me appreciate it a lot more. I found these characters a lot more engaging the second time around. I love the way they conduct themselves, I love their dynamic that they all have, and it has a lot of interesting things to say about the time in which they live in. Some of them are very blatant, some of them are very subtle, and I can see why Withnail I has achieved cult classic status. Even though I liked it a lot more the second time around, and it was definitely loads funnier the second time around as well, I wouldn't hold this movie up to a higher standard like most people would. Don't get me wrong, I can see the appeal. It's just, I wouldn't say that this is my favourite drama, nor is it my favourite comedy. I wouldn't put this in my, top 10 best movies of all time list. Though, now rewatching it, I wouldn't put it in my bottom 10 either. Withnail I is a good, funny movie with a lot to say that is definitely more enjoyable the second time around. But as for whether or not you guys should see it, honestly, I feel a lot better having watched this film a second time, and maybe if you were like me and you didn't really enjoy it the first time around, I would say give it another chance. Because this isn't the first film that I've watched a second time and enjoyed a lot more the second time. I mean, two other examples I can think of are Blade Runner and Full Metal Jacket. I didn't think very much of those films the first time I watched them, but when I rewatched them, I got a lot more enjoyment out of them. Especially Full Metal Jacket. Okay guys, that's my re-review of Withnail I. Hopefully I've given a better insight to my feelings towards this film than I did in my first video, which honestly I'm completely condemning. I may actually remove it at some point. Because honestly, that video is very lackluster. I feel like it doesn't really represent how I actually feel about movies in general. But so, to end it all off, Withnail I, do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!